What's up, comic book friends? Tony Kritical here with another Critical pull list. You already know the deal by now. We're going to start off by going over my reviews from last week, take a look at what I pulled this week, and take a peek at what's coming out next week. Let's go! I'll toss up a screenshot of my pulls from last week and get started with my pick of the week from DC, which should come as no surprise is Absolute Catwoman #1. If you want a more in-depth review, check out my video from last week because I read it and review it on that video. But in short, this was just a perfect issue. The art, the dialogue, the pacing, all the action, the cool tech in it is just perfect. Check it out. Next up for DC is Barbara Gordon Breakout, issue 2. So I was looking forward to this because issue 1 ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. But to be honest, there's a lot of mystery going on still. We don't really get too many answers about what happened. And that's part of the plot. It's kind of dark and sinister. But I kind of wish we got a bit more information out of it. But overall, it's still really good and a fun read. Next up is Justice League Dreamgirls, a DC Pride event, issue 2. This was a good issue. I liked seeing the Green Lantern Corps kind of debating over whether Galaxy and Dreamer are a threat and whether they belong in the Justice League. They also do a good job of addressing a concern, or at least an observation that I had from the last issue, which is that Dreamer and Galaxy are not exhibiting their normal power sets in the issue. And Galaxy kind of notices this because she's got a completely different power set, and it's part of what kind of wakes her up to the fact that she's in a dream. Galaxy and Dreamer also have a bit of a heartfelt discussion about what's causing this dream and what's affecting Dreamer, and at the end of it, Galaxy wakes up, but Dreamer does not, and that's kind of where we leave off. Next up for DC is The Fury of Firestorm, issue 3. This has been a really good book. It's also my introduction to Firestorm, and I get to see in this one just how powerful he is, because he kicks the butts of some pretty powerful Justice Leaguers pretty handily and quickly. So he's pretty powerful. We are also introduced to the Professor, who's another main character and used to be a part of the Firestorm Matrix, but now it's kind of its own thing, its own entity, and they're trying to figure out how he can be stopped, if he can be stopped. It might be too powerful. It's a pretty high-stakes, interesting series, and this keeps that momentum going. Now we've got Bleeding Hearts, issue number 5. This was kind of heartbreaking. One of the main characters dies off-page, and the little girl is kind of dealing with the ramifications of that and kind of blaming herself, and it's just, it hurts to read. And we see some more building of this kind of zombie culture that exists because now they've become the dominant species. There's like hardly any humans left, and the zombies can communicate with each other, but they don't understand humans. It's pretty interesting and fun and heartbreaking at the same time. So it's just like a weird blur of whimsical weirdness and just depressing stuff. So really good issue. Last up for DC is Green Lantern Corps issue number 17. This is pretty much a Guy Gardner issue. There's really no one else from the Corps in this except for maybe a little bit at the end. It's all about how Guy Gardner manages to get out of the black hole he willingly went into because he felt that was what he needed to do to solve this emotional entity and Manhunter's crisis. And he was pretty much right. He finds an older version of himself that's just been trapped in the black hole. And, being Guy Gardner, he tries to fight himself. And being Guy Gardner from the future, he knows every move that old Guy Gardner is going to try to make. It's a pretty interesting interaction all the way through, from the combat to the dialogue. And at the end, they kind of have like a weird self-bro moment where they're like sad to see each other go, but it's cool and really good issue. I hope we keep Guy Gardner in the priestly robes for at least a little longer still, because it's just such an odd juxtaposition. I love it. But that brings us to the end for DC. Now let's move on to Marvel. So for Marvel, for the first time ever, I'm just going to call it a draw on my pick of the week. It's Avengers Armageddon issue 1 and Jay and Silent Bob, Jay's a Future Past. I love both of these. They were just so good. I'll start out with Jay and Silent Bob, just talking a little bit about it. There's so many different Marvel characters in this, and all the Marvel characters are pretty much being themselves. They're very well written with their own voices, even though it's kind of this absurd, like, stoner duo that they're dealing with. And we see Jay and Silent Bob kind of going through interactions with a bunch of different people in Marvel, and every interaction is awesome. And it also has, like, a really good kind of background story and about why this is even happening. It's not kind of just some half-baked Pun not intended. It's not some half-baked idea. It's a fully baked idea, like every Jay and Silent Bob idea. But it is just really funny. The dialogue, the callbacks to all the stuff we love about Jay and Silent Bob, it's all in there. There's the new kind of Kevin Smith, like father-daughter moments that he likes to put into everything. We got some of that, and it's just like really good. It's so good, and it's just way better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be kind of like fart jokes like we expect from Jay and Silent Bob, but it's much more than that, and it was so good. For Avengers Armageddon, I'm just going to admit that I'm a bit biased in this. As I've said before, I'm a huge fanboy for Colton, who's the new Captain America kind of from the War on Terror. He plays a big role in this and is kind of one of the main points of the issue, so of course I really liked it. Plus, it's cool seeing all the other Avengers working together. I've never read an Avengers book before this, and it's really fun to see them all together. It was really good, and I wasn't really expecting much from this because I liked One World Under Doom, but I didn't love it, and this is kind of a continuation of it, and it's only the second Marvel event I've read. Well, actually third if you count the Age of Apocalypse stuff. That's kind of like X-Men. But it was way better than I thought it would be. I didn't really have high expectations, even though it's Starsky and I love Captain America, and it was really good. I would check it out if you're on the fence about it. Next up, we've got Bishop, issue 1. This was good, but it was a lot of narration, which was kind of good because I don't know much about Bishop, and the narration helps to set up his past and all about him. So I learned a lot about him through that, so it works. But there is some good action in this book. It pretty much starts off with an action scene, and we get some good dialogue as well because he has a nice conversation with Storm, who kind of acts as his mentor. And at the end of it, it does a good job of kind of setting up what the issue is going to be about, although there's still some mystery to it. It was good though, and I'm looking forward to the rest. Next up for Marvel is Civil War Unmasked, issue 2. So every one of these Civil War Unmasked issues in this series is about a different character, and this one's about Spider-Man. More specifically, it's about how Spider-Man is deciding whether to reveal his identity as Peter Parker. It shows him talking to Aunt May and MJ, which, side note, it's kind of weird to see him once again dating MJ and in a good relationship with her, because that's not what's going on in the current series. But it was cool to see, and I like this debate that Peter Parker goes through, literally weighing the pros and cons of revealing his identity. And eventually he does decide to reveal his identity. And shortly after, some of his fears are partially realized when people he worked with or cared about are under attack because they know that these people worked with Peter Parker. But then we see him go and save the day. And it was a really cool fight scene where it had a lot of involvement with the Iron Man suit, the Iron Spider suit, which I got up there, at least from the movie. We see a lot of that in it as well, kind of playing a featured role where the technology of it helps him out. So it was cool to see him incorporating that. And overall, it was just really good. Good action, good dialogue, and an interesting kind of concept to see Peter Parker weighing these things out and how he decides. Now let's move on to Daredevil number 3, Beware the Omen. I really like this because, speaking of Spider-Man, Daredevil and Spider-Man in both of their books have been kind of having a back and forth like training sessions and just hanging out, and we see that now where Spider-Man is helping Daredevil kind of focus on different parts of his senses instead of being overwhelmed, because that's kind of been one of the weaknesses with this new bad guy. We also see the detectives come and talk to Matt Murdock and try to figure out why he's being targeted, and he does a good job of being a lawyer and not getting involved. And after that, there's the big fight between Daredevil and this new bad guy, and at the end we have like a face reveal of the bad guy, and it's kind of terrifying. But there's still a bit of mystery. I think it's going to be solved next issue. Well, at least partially revealed next issue. It's getting good. It's really building up. Now let's move on to the Sentry issue 4, which concludes this limited run. It was a pretty good ending to this, although I just didn't really love it. I thought the beginning was better, but it kind of petered out a bit, and some things at the end just don't really make sense to me for being closed off like this. For example, Sentry explains to Reed Richards what's going on with his alter ego, the Void, or whatever you want to call it, and Reed says like, oh, there's people that want to kill you if they found out about that, but he doesn't really seem to try to offer to help him with this problem at all, which does not really seem in his character. I wouldn't doubt it if there was some kind of event coming off of this in the future, or some kind of series that deals with that, because it just seems kind of abrupt how it ends like that. Like, yo, yeah, by the way, guys, I've got this terrible thing in me, and every time I save a person, I need to kill a person. And that's just something I'm going to deal with now. I don't know. It seems unsatisfactory as an ending, but overall, it was really fun to read. I mean, action was great. Interesting way of moving the plot forward and solving the issue with this crystalline entity that's kind of literally consuming the world. But overall, it was a good ending to this series, and it was a fun read and enjoyed it. Last up for Marvel is Jessica Jones Alias issue 4. Yet another sweet, sweet cover. Really love these covers. I know it's hard to see, but I'll do my best. So in this one, we continue off with a big fight with this literal demon that has kind of like transformed out of this person's body. And it's a pretty good fight. At the end of it, Jessica Jones either accidentally or she's kind of forced to literally punch a hole through this dude. And she somehow feels guilty about killing a demon, which is, come on, there's no kill rule. Should have a limit here, guys. Demons, you can probably kill. But it also does a good job of flashing back to the courtroom scenes, or flashing forward to the courtroom scenes, kind of dealing with this. And there's a nice discussion between Jessica and her husband Luke Cage, and we get to see more of their relationship and how Jessica Jones is dealing with kind of keeping this investigation hidden from him. And at the end of this, we find out who's behind all of these killings. It's Mephisto, who I don't really know much about him. Probably like Satan in the Marvel world, I'm assuming. But he's the one that's been behind everything, so I don't know how they're going to take him down. She had contacted Dr. Voodoo to kind of find this out, so maybe he'll be able to help. I remember seeing him in the Storm series. He seems pretty cool. So this continues to be good. And that is it for Marvel. Now let's go on to the indies. My pick of the week for this was Skate Alley issue 1. So for this, I don't know if any of you will have played this game, but it really reminds me of Jet Set Radio Future. It's a video game from like the Dreamcast days where you play a rollerblader that goes around and tags graffiti over like your rival gang's graffiti. You fight cops that are trying to stop you, and it's just like kind of dystopian cyberpunk a little bit with cool music playing all the time. And I just get such vibes from that while reading this. It's really cool. It's about this girl, Allie, who is a solo skater. Usually people skate in gangs because they need to avoid the cops because it's completely illegal for some reason. There's like culture police pretty much, but she is just a solo skater. But eventually she gets roped into this other skater gang scene and finds out that there's like skateboard magic, like the only way I can describe it. And it's just really cool. I can't wait to read more of this. I'm really excited to learn more about the world that she's in, the culture police that exists, why they are banning skateboarding. Maybe because they can do skateboard magic. But it's really cool and a weird book, and I really liked it. So definitely my pick of the week. Now next up is actually the Ting's pick of the week, which she can't read, so he just looks at the pictures and decides that way. And it was Godzilla's The Odyssey. That was Elias Giriazis that was the artist on this. And I just really liked that it seemed almost well-researched. Like it seemed to draw directly from ancient Greek sculpture and pottery and art to depict the warriors and the Greek gods. Like, look at that. You see like the armor there? I'm pretty sure that's realistic armor, like Mycenaean or something. And let me show you this cool page with Zeus. Yeah. It just reminds me of ancient Greek sculpture. Like, it seems like very heavily researched and influenced in a good way. And like I had predicted, oh, look at that. For Poseidon too, he's just facing the waves. I love it. And like I had predicted, Godzilla really does fit perfectly. He's pretty much just a Titan. I mean, let me show you. Yeah. Comes in fighting this weird version of a Cyclops. Looked great. Really like this book. It does a good job of working Godzilla in a way that makes sense and kind of staying true to the mythology as well, although it's not 100% obviously. Godzilla's in it. But I thought this was really good and would recommend it if you're into mythology. Or Godzilla, I guess. Next up for the indies is Ben 10 issue 2. And I'm happy to say this was a big improvement for me from the first one. The first one, I wasn't really pulled in by it too much. I liked the art and the quality of the writing. It just wasn't something I was interested in that much. And I said that I didn't see this darkness to it, this maturity that I'd been hearing about. Well, you see it in this one. There's like one panel specifically that is just, well, it's very mature, and just that one panel kind of kicks it up to the next notch. So I'm excited for this, actually. It got way better after this issue. And also a big part of this is kind of like body horror that Ben is going through as he's shifting through these different forms. So it's really kicks it up a level in terms of maturity, and it feels more like an adult book now. So I'm enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to the rest. Now, there's a book that was not on my pull list last week because I just missed it. I must have just not added it to my list, and I forgot to grab it. But it's Red Roots issue 2. Really like the first one. It's pretty much about this assassin dude that's hunting like this leader of this gang. He's going through the whole gang to get to him. And then on the other side, there's like a school teacher that has literally like decapitated heads just keep appearing in her house, and like at the end they start talking to her. So this continues from that, and this was a bit weird. I almost kind of thought I'd skipped the book when I started reading it. I was like, what did I miss? This doesn't make sense. But it kind of just throws you into this different fantasy world where there's orcs and other creatures and very little explanation. But it is a cool setting, a cool idea. I just kind of hope it's executed better in terms of like explaining what's going on in the future, because I'm completely lost, and it seems like I'm not the only one. You kind of get thrown into this with little to no warning, so we'll see. Next up for the indies, Archie X the Army of Darkness issue 5, which is the last one. This was a pretty good run, and it was a good fitting end to the run. Nothing crazy in this one. It continues to be what I've always said, which is just like a really good example of Ash being Ash. He fits in really well with this group of kids, and we just see them kind of, solve the problem of the Deadites in their town, whatever it's called. I forget what it's called, but it's really cool. And there's even like an interesting scene where Archie loses his hand, and Ash hooks him up with like a robot hand. So it's a pretty cool touch. I wonder if he ever has that in any of the future books. I doubt it, but it was really good, and I'm gonna miss having an Ash comic book, and I hope there's more that come out because this was fun to read. Next up for the indies is Dork issue 5. And this was just another perfect issue, just like the rest of the series has been, really. It's really funny. There's very charming art. The action is just non-stop. And we get enough revealed about what's going on every issue that it keeps you interested. And in this one, it pushes it to the next level as well, where he finally finds someone he was searching for. And it turns out someone that he was hoping would be an ally, or at least someone that would help him, probably not. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this next issue, because he might have a big fight on his hands that he might not be able to handle. Last for the indies is Speed Racer issue 9. Yet another very good issue from this series, which is just really good and probably super underrated. I'm sure most people aren't picking this up that aren't already fans of Speed Racer from back in the day, but it's actually a really good book. And in this one, we have a new story starting. In this issue, the new problem is that there's some kind of drug that is being used not only recreationally on the streets, but also as part of the cars. And in one of the races, Speed gets exposed to this drug, and it like immediately is having effects on his personality and causing him to be more violent, and he's kind of alienating his friends and family. So it's going to be interesting to see how far that goes before it's solved. But it's a really interesting concept, and the series has been awesome. That just about wraps it up for last week's books. Let's check out what I pulled this week. So per usual, I'll toss up a screenshot of all my pulls, and I will get into one publisher at a time. Decent amount of DC. Absolute Green Arrow, issue 2. The last one was Absolute Peakness, like all this Absolute stuff has been. And yeah, I'm going to have to keep pulling this one because it was really good. And I'm curious to see what we find out about in this one. It's a really interesting twist on Oliver Queen as Green Arrow, because it's not Oliver Queen, or at least it doesn't seem to be, because this is a murderer that is taking out billionaires left and right. Really interesting story, and I'm hoping we get some more information about what's going on, because it's kind of playing out as a mystery right now. Dreamgirls, just talked about this one. It's coming out every week until it's done as part of Pride Month. So we'll see what happens, because I really liked issue 2, and it looks like Galaxy and Dreamer are going to be put on trial. Lobo issue 4, this probably is kind of tying into the movie coming out, because he's fighting Supergirl. We'll see if this is actually related to the movie or if it's its own thing. Probably its own thing, just thematically tied to it, but we'll see. And I mean, Lobo's been awesome, and I would love to see how he deals with Supergirl. I don't imagine him winning, but it should be an interesting fight. Next up is Deathstroke the Terminator. This has been a really good issue in terms of action and the art. It's just been a lot of fun reading it every week. And I hope we find out more about what's going on, because there's a bit of chaos and mystery around this. Like, we don't really know if Deathstroke's going crazy or if he's being set up. I also pulled Batwoman issue 4. This has been good, but I'm hoping that we kind of get more progress in the story on this one. I don't really know what's going on with the latest character that was introduced. I know she's part of Batwoman's history, but I don't know about her because I haven't read before. But I'm curious to see what happens there, because it seemed like Batwoman was turning on her. So let's find out in this one, I hope. We've also got End of Life issue 5. I've been liking this one more and more every issue, and I'm hoping this one will be really cool, because he's going to be in a fight at an amusement park, and there's a little kid whose life is on the line. Absolute Flash issue 16 came out. This has been much better the last few issues. I'm kind of feeling it pulling back until that slower pace, so I'm hoping it pushes things forward a bit in this one. But the art's been great, and it has been getting better, so I'm optimistic. Last up is Absolute Batman issue 21. Clearly we got Two-Face being introduced, and after the last issue there should be a fight with the Robins. The last issue was kind of built up as like a Robins issue, but they kind of just appear at the end, so I don't know if that's the deal with this one, or maybe just the Robins are at the beginning of it and then it's about Two-Face, but I'll find out. That is it for DC. Marvel had a really short stack for me this week. Just Punisher issue 5, Sorcerer Supreme 7, and The Amazing Spider-Man 31. The Punisher should be pretty good. It's pretty much going to start off with a fight between Punisher and Jigsaw, who ambushed Punisher at a trap and for some reason didn't just have him killed. He wants to fight him face to face so that he can take his face. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorcerer Supreme issue 7. I believe the last one was kind of its standalone adventure, if I'm remembering correctly. So hopefully this one starts off a bit more of a wider arc, because I kind of like that. And lastly is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 31, The Talk. Peter Parker learns about the birds and the bees. Just kidding. I don't think it's that talk, but it's kind of related to it. And they're kind of building this up as a big lore change or lore addition for Spider-Man. So I'm kind of excited to read this one and see if it's really such a big deal, because it seems like it is. It has to do with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. But I don't want to spoil much about that. Now let's go on to the indies, which was a much bigger stack. First off is The $1 Trillion Kid, issue 1 by Jeff Johns. I'm going to read this one on video and let you know what I think about it. It's in issue 1, so I'm sure people are curious, and I'm definitely curious, so I'll be checking this out. Next up, Dog Tag issue 2. The first one won my pick of the week for the indies when it came out, and I'm hoping this is on that same level. The first one was a very profound kind of book, very meaningful, and did a lot of justice to how traumatic World War II was, so hopefully it picks up on that. Next is Megalith, the Olympus Saga number 2. This was also pick of the week for when I read this for the indies, and I'm hoping it keeps up with that really good pace that kind of makes it feel like you're watching an action movie. Next up, one I'm very excited for is If Destruction Be Our Lot, issue 2. The first one was so quirky and weird and very just unique, so I'm hoping this is like that as well, and I'm hoping it kind of takes things to the next level as well, because it hinted at some major secrets that were being hidden from all of robot kind, pretty much. It's a weird one, but it's also a really good one, and I can't wait for that. Odin 2, a horror book by James Tinian, and I'm curious to see whether the Nazis and the undercover journalist really were just affected by drugs, or if there's an evil spirit. I'm guessing there's an evil spirit or something. You'll find out. Next up, Star Trek The Last Starship, issue 8. This was not a horror book, but the last issue was giving major horror vibes. And I'm hoping that this turns things around, because if not, it's a very dark Star Trek story, which is fine, but I'm used to Star Trek kind of being this optimistic, utopian level future, and this is the opposite of that. It's very bleak and depressing, but we'll see. It's been a really good, interesting story either way. Last up is Redcoat issue 18. Got nothing to say about this because I still need to read the hardcover deluxe edition and a few more issues and catch up. So can't say much about that other than Jeff Johns has been a beast, and I love the world that it's set in. And that just about wraps it up for my pulls. So let's take a little peek at what's coming out next week to be excited about. I'll toss up a screenshot of what I got on the pull list and get into what I'm most excited about. There's a lot. I haven't taken a peek at this for a while, and oh my god, there's a lot of good stuff next week. But easily what is number one for me is Superman number 39, because Superboy Prime has been awesome. Can't wait to see more of that. No matter what it is, it's going to be good. But man, there's so much good stuff. Bizzaro Year None number 2. It's been a while. It's a Kevin Smith book. The first one was so weird and so good. Captain America. I don't know if I want to spoil it just in this 1 second description, but he went to a dark place, and we'll see if he survives or how he changes. Corpse Knight's been awesome. Doom Quest, Doom on the Titanic, yeah, I'm excited for that. Fireborn's been cool. I keep saying it reads like a manga to me. Love the art. Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner book, hopefully. Hopefully it's not so much Hal Jordan. Is Ted Okay? You already know, one of my favorite books right there. Love that one. Swamp Thing's been awesome. Zatanna's been awesome. Man, so many good books. 51 has been getting better every issue. Conan the Barbarian is always good, and I think it's going to be a new arc. We'll see. Spider-Versity, Absolute Wonder Woman. I kind of glossed over that one. How did that happen? Absolute Wonder Woman's probably one of my favorite Absolute lines. And we got Superman. Oh, man. Some good reading next week. Good reading. Gonna be busy. Oh, and Daredevil Pan-Dimensional 3D Edition number 1. That's also a Kevin Smith book, but that's been delayed like crazy, so we'll see if that actually comes out. A lot to be excited about. But now it is time to read The $1 Trillion Kid, and I will let you know what I think. I know pretty much nothing about this, so we're going to be finding out together. Honestly, Jeff Johns does it again. That was super interesting. As the title suggests, it's about a trillionaire kid, but he's also kind of a boy genius. He's like Iron Man, but 13 years old or something like that. And he is always trying to make the world a better place, a more hopeful, happy, silly place. One of the big things in this issue is that he builds a roller coaster that picks up all the kids and brings them to school. Pretty good example. Really like the art too. I think it's hard to draw kids, and this one pulls it off pretty well. It doesn't look awkward and weird. It also does a really good job of setting up the world. Oh, that's a good one for the art. It does a really good job of setting up the world and the background information and the history of the kid, and you're slowly fed the plot points, and you find out that his family, his parents, and I think sister are missing, And the story really takes off at the end where this kid, Tommy, decides to hit the road to try to find his parents. And he does this by tracking down these people that are called the Unbelievables, at least by his parents. It's people with unbelievable powers like a genie, ghost, stuff like that. And he is tracking them down based on the notes from his parents, hoping that one of them knows how to find his parents or what happened to them. So it's a pretty good setup for a story. And overall, I mean, it's really another hit by Jeff Johns, if you ask me. Very well written. Love the dialogue. Love this charming character. He's very kind and hopeful, even though he's a billionaire. And has some very creative inventions. There's also just like a lot of cool scenes, like he's got these different rooms in his house, like the video game room, a sweets room. He's got his vault, and each one of them has its own AI. He's also got his AI robot bodyguard, all of which he invented. Yeah, this is very promising. I don't know how he's making so many good books between Geiger and this and Rook Exodus and just so much good stuff. But I've not seen him miss once. And I'd really recommend reading this. It was actually really good. Yep. Another one by Jeff Johns that I love, guys. This is amazing. Let me know what you guys think. Well, that wraps up this week's Critical Pull List. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.